Hey, got another cooking video here for you. Tonight we're going to be cooking some Wagyu steak. Wagyu steak is very highly sought. I happen to have a store around here that actually does carry Wagyu. It's on the other side of the island. For those of you who don't know, I am in Hawaii. And there are no cattle ranches on Oahu. The only cattle ranch they have is on the Big Island, which is the Hawaii Island. That being said, beef itself isn't real cheap around here either. It's pretty good. They've got some good ranches over there. But today we're going to have some Wagyu. So some real quick disclaimers. I'm not a chef, so I'm not going to cook it like a chef cooks it. I'm not even a cook. I'm a kepper. And when keppers cook, we just throw stuff together. So when I cook this up, I'm going to do it in a way that you've probably never seen before. And I love doing my steaks this way. I do all my steaks the way that I'm fixing to show you how to do this one. The reason that I do the way I do is because I like to be able to eat my steak. I hate having a steak that I have to cut around and cut fat off of and cut around a bone and just by the time that you've done butchered that thing to death, you've worked yourself to death to eat your steak. So I've learned a few things about cooking steak. Number one, when I go to the store and I buy a steak, that steak now belongs to me. And I can do anything I want to. I can cut it any way I want to. I can fry it if I want to. I can bake it if I want to. I take all the intimidation factors out of cooking steak. And I hope you do too. Because I love steak, and for those of you who love steak but you have a hard time cooking it and you're a little intimidated by it, maybe tonight you'll learn something a little different. I've also got some green beans that we're going to throw in there, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this just so that we can cook this. And I've got some mushrooms. I've just got salt and pepper for my seasonings. I've got some garlic over here too that I'm going to throw in there. So let's get started. The thing about Wagyu is that if you know anything about steaks and the grades in steaks, you have select, you have choice, and you have prime. Each one of those grades goes up, and it's all about the marbling in the beef. Now, here, Wagyu in America is typically always going to be prime, just because it has so much fat content in the meat. And it's one of the things that Wagyu is known for. So this here meat, I don't know if you can see it or not. I'll get it up here as close as I can. Lots of fat inside in the beef. And that's a lot of where your flavor comes from when you're cooking your steaks is just the inners of the fats that's inclined into the muscles. That's where the flavor comes from. That's where it gets dispersed through all the meat. So let me get my knife. So we're going to take this steak. This is a New York strip. Let's see, what is it called? Yep, just the New York strip. Snake River Farms Wagyu is where this comes from. Just so you know how much this stuff costs. So this steak right here, being it was Wagyu, was $33.99 a pound. I didn't quite get a pound. This is 7.775 pounds, which cost me $26.34. So if I go out to a restaurant and I just get not Wagyu but a prime rib or something like that, it's going to cost me more than that. And I'm just going to get the steak that they bring me. I don't get to look and choose and anything like that. But this Wagyu, it is expensive, but I'm getting what I pay for. So now that we've got our steak out, we're just going to roll this over. And you can see all of this fat. All of this fat that's here. Now this is also a different type of fat that comes in beef. So you don't want to handle Wagyu very much. You want to keep Wagyu in the refrigerator just before you get ready to. Ooh, thanks, Lord. That baby's hot. Just before you want to cook it, bring it out. Bring out your Wagyu. Because if you don't, it's going to get oily, it's going to get tacky, and it's really just not pretty. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut right here. And we're going to take that chunk off. And then we're going to cut right back here. What I've done, I don't know if you can see these or not. So I've taken the biggest chunks of fat out or off of this steak. So now I've got me a little nice square piece of steak here. I can even trim this up some more, and I think I'm going to, because what I'm going to do with the beans and the mushrooms is going to take this right here. So I'm just going to take, just cut right down through here. Oh, this thing just cuts just. Now people say, well, it's the fat. It's the fat that gives it all the flavor. Well, it's Wagyu. There's fat all in this. I'm not worried about me losing my flavor. But now what I've done is I've given myself a perfect steak. Square. A little bit of fat left on the outside of it. But when I cook that, I'm not going to have to worry about cutting fat off or cutting anything around it. That's my steak, and I'm going to eat that whole thing. So I'm going to put this right over here. What we're going to do with this is the tallow of the Wagyu. So this is all of the inner fats in there. So we're going to cut some little pieces out of this. The reason I want to do this is because I want to make myself an oil for my green beans. I'm fixing to cook this steak. And you don't have to put oil in your pan when you're cooking a Wagyu steak, because the fat content is so great that it's just going to render itself and fry itself right in there. So all we're going to worry about doing is just season it with a little salt and pepper, or if you like something else, you can season it with that. I don't typically like to season my steaks. My precious wife kind of taught me that. She just likes salt and pepper on hers, because if she wants it seasoned another flavor, she can always do that afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and just finish cutting this up. These little bits and pieces here. And this is another treat right here. Okay. So we're going to get our skillet right back here. So we're going to take all of this and we're going to put it in here. These little bits and pieces. While that's kind of rendering down and cooking, I'm going to go ahead and put some salt and pepper on my steak. I'm going to get it ready to go in. Okay. My hand. Where's my top? So I've just got my skillet just on a low medium heat, because I'm not trying to sear anything right now. All I'm trying to do right now is just get the fat just to oil up my pan. So now my pan has seasoned itself with the Wagyu. So when I put that in there, all I've got is the seasonings, is the salt and pepper and just the Wagyu. This right here. Oh yeah. Ready to go. So now I'm going to take my steak. And another thing that I learned just by trial and error of cooking my steaks, I don't just do my Wagyus that way. I do my steaks that way now. It's something that I just started doing, and I cut my steaks, and I can cut them in little squares, or I can cut them in circles, just getting the fat and all that stuff off of it. Then I put it in my pan. Doing that, when I take the fat off the sides, which I know a lot of people will tell you, don't do that because you're taking away your moisture content. I haven't found that to be a problem yet. I found that if I just take my time in cooking it, get it at the right temperature, I can actually watch it brown on the bottom, and I can watch my middle, because I like mine to be kind of like a medium rare. I don't like it to be well done. I don't like it to be rare. I like it to be right kind of in the middle, a little bit pinkish. That's where I like mine. So now, there we go. Just let that cook for a little bit. Okay, so it's been cooking here for a few minutes. I've just been slowly rotating it from side to side just so that it gets an even cook all the way through. So I'm going to go ahead and take it off and let it rest, because it's not going to take us very long to cook our green beans. So now what I'm going to do, it's going to take me a handful of my green beans. I know they still got the stems on them. And we're just going to throw these right in here. It says right there, washed and trimmed. I don't think so. And we're going to throw some beans in there. There we go. And then we're just going to stir these around in here. Let these cook in there a little bit. It doesn't take these very long. You got plenty of oil and fat in here. It's not going to take them long at all to start getting soft and rendering down. I'm just going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. This is looking good, smelling good. I don't know if you can see or not, but there is plenty of oil in here now that's come off of just the Wagyu steak. I don't know if you remember or not, but when I first started heating this thing up, there was no oil in it at all. And now you can hear the sizzling of all the oil in it, and that's what came off of the steak and what's off these bits and pieces that I put in here in the beginning, and all of that fat is seasoning up these beans. Just the aroma of this is amazing. All right, now we've got that in there. Go ahead and add a little mushrooms, add our garlic. We're going to let this cook up a little bit, and then we'll be right back, and I'll show you what it all looks like. We'll even taste a little bit of it. Well, here you have it. Wagyu steak, green beans, mushrooms, and a little bit of Wagyu fat bits in there. It smells amazing. It looks great. And you can see I've cooked it just right. I've got still some pink on the inside here. I mean, this is an amazing dish. And it didn't take me very long to do it. I didn't have to look at a cookbook. I didn't have to get on YouTube. I just figured all this stuff out myself by trial and error, cooking steaks, seeing how they cook. Now, we're going to cut into this thing, and we're going to see for real how good we did. So we're just going to take this steak. Yes. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Perfect. I mean to tell you, that is a perfect cook. I don't know if the camera's close enough to see it or not, but it's just nice and a dark pink. That is perfect. Perfect. Oh my goodness. We're fixing to come into this, and we're going to take a nice bite of this. Oh, man almighty. That's perfect. If I was to go to a store, I bet I could, a restaurant, I bet I couldn't get something that good. That's amazing. That is amazing. Try our green beans here with a little bit of mushroom. A little bit of Wagyu fat bits in there. Come on, get on there. Just my saliva glands are just going crazy. So there you have it. Cook you some Wagyu, cook you some green beans, cook you some mushrooms together. All you're going to do is dirty up one pan. That's all you're going to do. Hope you've enjoyed this. I'm sure there was a lot of laughs along the way. But you have your own steak. You have it your own way. That's what I do. And just remember, every choice you make today creates a lifestyle you live tomorrow. You can't change yesterday's choices to make today better, but you can make better choices today to make tomorrow better. All right, we'll see you. Y'all take care. God bless.